Will Pixar ever return? Inside Out immediately established itself as one of the best films Pixar had ever released when it was released back in 2015. And with notable films like WALL-E, Finding Nemo, and Toy Story among its credits, that's no little accomplishment. Pixar hasn't exactly been operating at full capacity lately. Though entertaining and eccentric, Turning Red was mostly targeted at women, whereas Lightyear was perceived as a movie that no one requested or desired. In theaters, Elemental was a box office bust due to poor sales. Pixar seems to have lost the charm that initially made it popular by this moment. In 2024, Inside Out may not be the film that propels the studio back to the top, but there is enough evidence to suggest that the studio is headed in the right direction. Despite the recent spate of huge layoffs at the studio, Inside Out 2 is a fantastic follow-up movie that builds on the same concepts that made the previous one so successful to create a picture that both kids and adults will enjoy in equal measure. Any child has to go through puberty, but Riley, our 13-year-old protagonist, is facing her most difficult test to yet. Riley's life is about to take a turn for the better when hockey camp approaches, leaving joy and the other emotions in a state of bewilderment and anxiety. And with that, fresh feelings are emerging at HQ: anxiety, envy, embarrassment, and ennui, French for boredom. In the end, the latter causes more problems than she solves, turning Riley into an unrecognizable mess, seizing control of the headquarters, and expelling the old emotions, headed by Joy. Essentially, the narrative retells elements of the first movie, with Riley delving deeper into a panic attack fraught with anxiety. It's a very basic coming-of-age tale, with Riley sacrificing her morals to blend in with the cool people. The plot of the nerdy child leaving her true friends behind to fit in with the cool youngsters has been used multiple times in different films, with varied degrees of success. But because of the emotional trip they all undergo, the movie gains depth in this scene. The old emotions are far more complicated than before, even while the new ones are mostly archetypal. Particularly Joy has an existential crisis, and several of the film's interactions between her and anxiety stand out because they eventually come to blows. Comparably, there are a few noteworthy instances where sadness and embarrassment come together, which illustrates their similar emotional makeup and how they can occasionally coexist. Personally, I think that anger could have played a far bigger part in this situation, especially since major episodes of rage are typically associated with puberty. Considering that anger was supposed to play a comic relief role rather than turn to the dark side and join anxiety and company, it does seem like a lost chance, even though it's a strange artistic decision. Similarly, there isn't really anything else going on for disgust or fear. Given how similar their emotional makeup is, it would have been good to see disgust and envy butt heads a little more, but we don't really get that. It's odd because, considering the breadth of emotions that accompany puberty, you would think that there would be plenty of space for a major altercation or struggle extending beyond Riley's struggle with self-identity, but this works just well. Inside Out excels most when it comes to its message. Riley's anxiety is shown in this work in a fairly well-developed way, permeating every aspect of Riley's mental makeup. The way we are introduced to both new and familiar locations, including a trip back to Imagination Land, has a beautiful ebb and flow. Some instances of the imaginative notions pertaining to Riley's mental processes are a literal brainstorm or a job parade. To be honest, adults are going to relate to this narrative more than children would. Anxious people are all too familiar with the overwhelming emotion or the conflict that arises from trying to fit in and be cool at school. This is expertly shown in Inside Out 2, and it's obvious that the authors are aware of the damage worry can do to a person. Additionally, the colors really stand out and the images are amazing, especially considering the new emotions. In the same vein, though, the first's distinctive visual design isn't present in this version.